You've probably heard about mass shootings that end with a manhunt, a mugshot, and a trial. This one didn't. On a Saturday morning in 2008, 5 women were murdered inside a suburban clothing store in less than 6 minutes. The gunman walked out. Police were already on the way. And 18 years later, his name still isn't on a warrant. I'm going back to the public record on the Tinley Park Lane Bryant murders, often called the Tinley Park Five. No invented scenes, no rumor dressed up as fact. Just what investigators, survivors, and court-adjacent documents have established. Here's the timeline as it's documented. February 2nd, 2008. Around 10:45 in the morning, police in Tinley Park, Illinois, a Chicago suburb, received an emergency call from inside a Lane Bryant store at Brookside Marketplace. Store manager Rhoda McFarland, 42, had placed that call while the attack was still unfolding. According to reporting from Reuters, ABC7 Chicago, and later summaries from Tinley Park police, a gunman had entered through the back door. Witness accounts and police statements describe a man who initially acted as if he were making a delivery. He spoke briefly with people inside. Then his tone shifted. He announced a robbery. 4 customers, a part-time employee, and McFarland were moved to the rear of the store. What happened next? Wasn't a panicked shooting. Investigators said 5 of the 6 women were shot in the head at close range, execution style. The 6th, the part-time employee, survived because she moved her head a fraction of a second before the shot. The bullet grazed her neck instead of killing her. Police have not publicly released her name. The 5 women who died were Jennifer Bishop, 34, of South Bend, Indiana; Carrie Hudek Chiuso, 33, of Frankfort, Illinois; Rhoda McFarland, the manager from Joliet; Sarah Szafranski, 22, of Oak Forest; and Connie Woolfolk, 37, of Flossmoor. They were shoppers and staff on an ordinary morning. Their families expected them home for ordinary reasons. Police believe the gunman used a .40 caliber Glock handgun. The shopping center was locked down and searched. Authorities concluded the shooter had already left the immediate area. Minutes mattered, and he still got away. CNN and other national outlets carried the story within hours. For Chicago's south suburbs, the fear was immediate and local. A strip mall is supposed to be the safest kind of public space. Parking lots, storefront windows, families running errands. This crime collapsed that assumption in a single morning. Rhoda McFarland's emergency call is one of the most important pieces of evidence in the entire file. She called while the attack was active, not after. That means audio may exist of the store under duress, of the gunman's voice, of chaos in the back room. Police have released a composite sketch, but they've never announced a named suspect with enough evidence to charge. America's Most Wanted featured the case. Tip lines stayed open. Leads came in waves, then quieted, then returned whenever anniversaries or new reporting pushed the story back into the news. Now the wider picture, and where the file leaves questions open. Law enforcement has long described the attack as a botched robbery, though the full motive remains officially uncertain. Lane Bryant's parent company offered a reward within days. A memorial fund was created. Funerals were paid for. On February 11th, 2008, police released a composite sketch of the suspect. Tinley Park detectives reported dozens of tips in the first 24 hours after that release. The case didn't fade quietly. Investigators have said they followed thousands of leads over the years. Tinley Park police maintain a dedicated page for the Lane Bryant homicide investigation. Detectives have said the file is not closed and never has been. At least one victim was sexually assaulted during the attack, according to police statements reported in February 2008. That detail changed how some detectives viewed the crime. This wasn't only a robbery that spun out of control. It was an extreme act of violence inside a retail store in broad daylight. Compare it to other Illinois cases and the scale becomes clearer. The Brown's Chicken Massacre in Palatine, 1993, also involved employees and customers killed inside a business. That case took years, but it ended in convictions. The Lane Bryant attack left 5 dead and a survivor with a graze wound and produced no arrest at all. That gap is why true crime creators, podcasters, and documentary filmmakers keep returning to Tinley Park. The facts are documented. The answer is not. The building where it happened stayed empty for years. In 2013, the Chicago Tribune reported the site reopened as a TJ Maxx. For locals, the geography is hard to forget. A normal strip mall anchor where 5 lives ended. In 2026, public attention returned. News outlets including ABC7 Chicago and News Nation noted the 18-year mark. A documentary, Who Killed These Women, has renewed pressure on the case. The reward for information leading to arrest and conviction has been reported at up to $200,000. In March 2026, Fox 32 Chicago reported that a victim's father publicly urged the FBI to take a larger role. Tinley Park police have said the investigation remains active. Wikipedia and multiple news organizations have described this as among the largest unsolved mass shootings in modern American history. That's not hype for a thumbnail. It's a statistical fact about American crime files: 5 confirmed dead, 1 survivor. A sketch, a voice captured on a live emergency call, and no conviction. A few details rarely make the short recaps. The survivor's movement at the last second is not a movie beat. It's the kind of small physical fact that changes a body count. She is the only living witness inside that back room. Her account, whatever investigators have released over the years, sits at the center of the sketch artist's work and the suspect descriptions passed to the public. The 911 call means investigators heard the store while it was under threat. McFarland made that call. She didn't survive. Her voice on the line is part of the legacy of this case, alongside the names of the 5 women who died. Families have spent nearly 2 decades attending vigils, giving interviews, and asking anyone with information to come forward. The reward grew from $55,000 in the first week to a reported $200,000 by 2026. That's not a reward for a rumor. It's what a community pays when it still wants an answer. Put the pieces in order, and the unsettling part is timing. Suburban daylight, 6 women, a back room, a gunman who impersonated a delivery, then vanished before officers arrived. 18 years of tips, sketches, documentaries, and grief without a named killer in court. So, the Tinley Park 5 in plain terms. 5 women murdered at a Lane Bryant in Tinley Park, Illinois, on February 2, 2008. 1 survivor, a suspected robbery that became a mass killing. An unknown gunman, a case still open. What's confirmed stays confirmed. What's disputed, we labeled disputed. Check Tinley Park Police, ABC7 Chicago, and Wikipedia's Lane Bryant shooting article if you want the full record yourself. If this helped, subscribe. We break down one documented case properly every week. Thanks for watching. Comment which detail stuck with you: the emergency call, the sketch, or the fact that he was gone in minutes. See you in the next one.